Mashiach to come. So this is brought down, this Maimer Chazal, as the importance of thanking Hashem and praising Hashem. But the explanation over here is that the open mem shows on speaking, Ashlosim shows on being closed, that Hashem wanted to open the Golus and bring Geula, and because of there was lack of Shira v'Tishbachis, so Hashem sealed it. So that's the explanation why that mem is Ashlosim. How do you get rid of machshava zaros during davening and in general? How to stop thinking about stuff? So the solution is you have to learn Perek Chav Zayin and Perek Chav Ches and Tanya. Alter Rebbe talks about that over there. Alter Rebbe says, the Rambam speaks about it. The Rambam says the solution is to have your mind full of Torah, and the main thing is not to be involved in Vardim B'Teilim. But in Tanya, Perek Chav Zayin and Chav Ches, Alter Rebbe has more discussion about it. He doesn't really talk about specifically the methods of how to get rid of it, but he talks about it, the concept of why the Machshava Zaros come, and the knowledge that the Machshava Zaros are only coming to fight you, but you realize that the kavanah is to make yourself better, that itself can help. But the main thing is that a person should not have empty time. That's the main thing. I have a friend of mine that he's involved in an organization that people that are addicted to internet and stuff like that, so he told me that one of the ways that they help people with these problems is by giving them a very, very busy schedule. Where they exercise and running and working and the whole day they have to be busy non-stop. And it's a begashmis and beruchnis. Begashmis person is busy, has no time for anything. But beruchnis as well, when there's no Torah in a person's mind, that's when all the bad things come in. So when a person is especially busy the whole time, especially with Torah, that B'derech Klal is the best solution for everything. That's the best solution for getting rid of all the machshava zaros. But again, it's very much kedai to learn the two parakim, Perek Chav Zayin, Chav Ches and Tanya. Those parakim, Mama speak about it, will help a lot. Why do we turn around by Bayi B'Shalim and L'Chadoidi? So the simple reason is it's a symbolic gesture that we're turning around to greet Mashiach coming in. The source of it, B'Chlal L'Chadoidi, the whole L'Chadoidi is a new tefillah, relatively new, a few hundred years old. It was written by a Yid by the name of, anybody knows? Shlomo Kabatz. Where did he live? See what he said. That's where he lived. So in Tzfas, so he was a Talmud of the Arizal, and they would go out together on Friday afternoon, and they would say L'Chadoidi, and then the Arizal said that the Shechina is b'mayrav. We daven towards Mizrach, but the Shechina is b'mayrav. So he turned towards the Shechina. Is this what says in Zohar? Shechina is b'mayrav. So by B'Shalim, the Shechina is coming now. It's a special tefillah for that. I also saw another pshat that there was a minhag by I think it was the Sfardim. It says, or the Ashkenazim, I forget already, that there was a minhag that for Nichum Avelim, someone's an Ovel, so you can't be Menachem Ovel on Shabbos, but right before Shabbos you could be Menachem Ovel. So the person, the Avelim, would stay outside of Shul till right before Shabbos, and then they would turn around and look at the Avelim, say Bayi B'Shalim, and then they would come in and they would know Nichum Avelim. So a minhag like that also, some kind of source for the turning around. But the simple reason is the gesture that we're turning around to be Mekabel Shabbos, even though we do it a lot later, we do it already many times, hours after Shabbos came in already. This Bacher is asking a whole bunch of questions about Rashi's family. Who were Rashi's sons-in-law? Who was Rashi's father-in-law and mother-in-law? Why don't we know anything about Rashi's wife? What were the names of the daughters of Rashi? So I only was able to find out the answer to the first and maybe last question. The answer to Rashi's sons-in-law. He had three sons-in-law. Their names were Rabbi Meir, who was the father of Rashbam and Rabbeinu Tam, and Rivon, Rabbi Yehuda ben Nosson, and Rabbeinu Ephraim. So there were three sons-in-law Rashi had, Rabbeinu Meir, Rabbi Yehuda ben Nosson, Rabbeinu Ephraim. The names of the daughters, so I saw a source, I saw not a reliable source, that the names were Yocheved, Miriam, and Rachel. But the source is not reliable, so I don't know if that's true or not.
Oh, they only had two.
What? He had three daughters. I saw also another unreliable place that they had two daughters, and over there it says it was Yocheved and Miriam, but he had three daughters. And who was his wife and who was his father-in-law, mother-in-law? I wasn't able to find any information. And the reason why we don't know about it is like we don't know about most Rebbitzins, Bechlal and Klal Yisrael. Most of the big Rebbitzins, throughout the generations, we know very little about them, because Kol Kvuda Bas Melech Pnima, Tzadekis are meant to be at home. That's the way of a Bas Melech is to be B'tznius. But B'derech Klal, they're not known. There were many exceptions, but all those exceptions are obviously a lot less than the vast majority of Gedolei Yisrael. You go through Gedolei Yisrael, a probably if you just list who was Abaya's wife, Rava's wife, most of the Gedolei Yisrael, there's from the Tanoim and Amiroim, we know a few, maybe 4 or 5 of their wives who they were. We know sometimes when they married the daughter of another Tan, another Amira, we know about him. But otherwise, the Derech Klal by Yidden Kol Kvuda Bas Melech Pnima. Why does tzitzis have black stripes? So it's interesting to know that it's mamish not necessary. The whole black stripes on the tzitzis, for some reason today became a thing, and there's already our nusach, and not Chabad nusach, not Chabad nusach. There's really no source for it. And Adarabah, Pikabod, you're supposed to only have completely white, not have any stripes at all. I read, I think the real Chitr Golav Hashem, I think he writes that in Lubavitch, the Chassidim did not have any black stripes on it, or at least some people didn't have it. So the pastures, there's no real source for it. They bring from the Prima Garden that he writes, it should be a Zeicher the Tchelis. Now we know Tchelis to be a bright blue, and our Talesim, our Talis cartons have a black. So really, there's a machlekes what's the color of Tchelis, and there are opinions that the color of Tchelis is a very, very dark blue. It's not black. Our stripes on tzitzis are on our Talis is black mamish, but it's reminiscent of the Tchelis. So Kivyachah, since we don't have the string of Tchelis, at least we should remind ourselves that besides the white of the Talis, should be another color as well.
So why we have blue then?
Again, there's an opinion that Tchelis is a very dark blue. So right. Reminiscent of that, I don't have a good answer to that. And it's Yisrael, they do have a light blue. But this is there's no real sort of, if you could want to have a light blue today, is that okay? Maybe right, it's not a problem.
Why dafka this pattern?
Well, the pattern is a barcode on the scar. There's no explanation. I haven't seen an explanation. I don't think anyone has an explanation. Just it's a pattern that ended up being exciting. Now it's already it's our pattern. It's already a Lubavitcher pattern. You can see that. It looks like a Lubavitcher Talis, but there's no real source for it. I read another Geshmakavar that it says that what's the simon, what's the zman you're allowed to daven, what you're allowed to put on tzitzis. So one of there's something called Mishayakir ben Tchelis Lelovan. When you can tell the difference between the white strings and the blue strings, from that time is when you couldn't say the bracha. So therefore, in order to, instead of going and checking your strings, they put it on the beged itself. You can see the different colors. When you can tell the difference, then you can make the bracha. But what? These colors are mamish black and white, or black and yellow, depending. But but it seems like there's no real source for it. And if anyone knows, besides what I said just now, the meaning of tchelis, and how did I let me know? I couldn't find anything else.
Earlier this year, and he said that
who?
He said that's because it says it has to be nice, so they put stripes to make it look nice.
You're saying that the reason is to make it look nice. All right, but. Altam bereach elit vakeach. You can make it blue, you can make it red, and if you ask Shlomo Feldman to make it probably purple or something, right? different tastes, what's considered nice or not. So, why don't we hold of Yoshka? I don't understand the question. He was a person that did very, very bad things. He's a Mesis and Madiach. Different opinions which one, but definitely did a lot of Avedas, so he's a big Rasha. I don't understand what the question exactly is. If you want to explain yourself better, maybe you could address it at a different time.